Children, today in English we are going to do the first lesson, the heavenly parasol. Now what does the word parasol mean? The word parasol means a light umbrella which is used to give shade from the sun. So basically an umbrella which you use in either in the summer season or in the monsoon season, it gives you shade. That another name for an umbrella could be a parasol. Okay, now this lesson basically teaches us about compassion. Compassion, which is very much required in today's times. Now what is compassion? Compassion is when you show either concern or pity for the suffering or the misfortune of other people. Okay, when you have something in your heart which melts, when you see how another person is much more misfortunate, you are much more fortunate to the other person. So you say, okay, let me just go and help out towards that person. Okay, so this lesson is basically about a king, how he shows compassion for a very poor person whose life is going to be taken and he is willing to give his own life for that child, in exchange for that child. So now I will be reading the lesson to you and I will be explaining each and every paragraph to you. To the first lesson, page number 1, the heavenly parasol. Now as I told you, what is a parasol? I have already explained the meaning of it. The word parasol means an umbrella which is used to give you shade from the sun. There was once a beautiful princess in the town of Pragyochacha called Amrita Prabha. When she came of age, the king held a Swayamvara to enable her to choose her husband. Many illustrious suitors, lured by tales of Amrita Prabha's beauty, assembled there. So basically, there was in the town of Pragyotisha, there was a beautiful princess, okay? And over there, the princess, now obviously when girls come of age, parents want to get the children married. So the parents decided that, okay, since it was a king who was getting his daughter married, they decided to have a Swayamvara. Now what is a Swayamvara? A Swayamvara is basically in the olden days, the kings had a kind of a thing where many suitors used to come to try and win the hand of their daughter. They could either win it, there could either be something like a challenge for them which they had to surpass. Okay, like they could win, like supposing they had to break, like in the question in the story of the Ramayana, where you have Sita Swayamvara, over there all the kings had to break the bow in order to win Sita's hand. So over here also there was a Swayamvara held where she had to choose her suitor. Now among the various suitors was Meghavahana, the great grandson of a former king of Kashmir. Amrita Prabha shyly cast her eyes over the court and wondered whom she should choose. To Meghavahana's surprise, the princess stopped before him and put the garland around his neck. He rose to his feet, unable to contain his joy. So, this young princess, she went all around and she said, let me see who is most suitable for me. So as she was going around, her eyes fell on Meghavahana, who was the great grandson of a former king of Kashmir. And she seemed to like him, so she went towards him and she put the garland around his neck. Now Meghavahana was very happy because he had now kind of got the hand of a beautiful princess of a very well-known kingdom. The couple moved forward to seek the king's blessings. As the king stepped down from his throne, the priest cried out in surprise, "Your Honor, the parasol of Varuna has cast its shadow over the prince." Now, once the young princess had chosen her prince, they both went to take the blessings of the parents. So as they went towards them, the priest saw that there was a parasol that had come over the head of the prince. Now, this parasol belonged to Varuna. Now, who was Varuna? Varuna was the god of wind. "It is true," exclaimed the king. "My son, you are favored by the gods." So the king got very happy. He said, "Wow, that means even the gods have favored you. Even the gods have agreed to your match, to marrying my daughter." Meghavahana looked up in surprise, wondering at the meaning of these words. All at once he saw by his side a beautiful, dazzling white parasol with exquisite decorations that was casting its shadow over him. Now, Meghavahana, being a young prince, he did not know what a parasol was and why the king was suddenly so happy. So, he just looked around himself and he saw that there was this beautiful white parasol that was decorated very beautifully and it was casting its shadow over him. "This is the parasol of Varuna, the king of the seas," exclaimed the king. "It casts its shadow on none else but a sovereign of the whole world. You are destined for glory and brilliance." So the king said, so now this young man was a little bit astonished. He did not know the meaning of all this parasol. Only the thing, yes, it was beautiful looking. So, but then the king explained to him. He said that, "See, this is the parasol of Lord Varuna, who is the Lord of the seas. And as it's cast its shadow on you, that means it has chosen you as the most eligible person in the whole world. And now you are destined for glory and brilliance." Dazed by these portents and by his good fortune, Meghavahana brought his bride and the divine parasol back home. So now Meghavahana, he understood that, okay, I have been recognized by the kings, by the lords, and plus I have got won myself a beautiful bride. Plus I have got this wonderful parasol. So taking everything with him, he went back home. Upon his return, the ministers of the Kashmir court sought him out and offered the throne to him. "We are dissatisfied with our present ruler," they said. "He has devoted himself to a life of prayer, and the affairs of the kingdom lie neglected. The people suffer because of this. Your noble character and bravery are well known in these parts. Honor us and the land by accepting our offer." So when he returned back to Kashmir, all the ministers, they all welcomed him and they said that, "See, young man, we would like you to be the king, be our king." So he was also shocked. He said, I have got this beautiful bride, I have got a parasol, and now I am being offered this throne. So he was wondering why that was happening. So they explained to him that they were very dissatisfied, that is, they were very unhappy with their present king, because he had given up everything and he was only all the time in prayer, and he had devoted his life to the for prayer, and he was neglecting the affairs of the kingdom, and because of which the people were suffering. And they told him that, "You have got a very noble character, a very good character, plus you are brave. So we would be honored if you would accept this offer." Meghavahana became the king of Kashmir. Soon he proclaimed a law against the killing of living beings. Proclaim means he kind of gave a law that no living being should be killed. It became his ambition to conquer other kingdoms, to impose this law on them as well. So then he decided that, why should I have this law only in my kingdom? So he said, "I'm going to start conquering other kingdoms so I can have this law bestowed on everybody, that one should not kill human beings." Once, while on an expedition near the sea, the king told his weary army to rest in the shade of some palm groves. "I must use this time to plan a way to conquer the island of Lanka," he thought. "It is the land of demons and needs to be taught the ways of peace. But how will I cross the great seas with my army? So now, as he kept on conquering, his basic ambition was to conquer the land of Lanka, that is Sri Lanka. And at that time, it was ruled by Ravana. And Ravana was he was a very intelligent king, no doubt, but he was also a demon. So he said, I want to conquer Lanka, but now how should he cross over the Indian Ocean? How should he cross over the seas? And in those days, there were no planes, trains, buses, or any form of roadway or airway that one could cross over from one land to another.